How do I run the setup in my room? That's the number one comment I keep getting. And I feel like it's time for me to go down, break everything down to you guys if you wish to start your own. I know how hard it can be when you're first getting into audio. You have so many questions and you want to know how to do it and what's the right and wrong ways of doing things, which there isn't really a right or wrong way of doing things. But if my way helps you guys out, then that's a win. So let's get started. So let's start with the brains. Let's start with the source. What is receiving the signal first? And that will be this guy over here. So this is the Yamaha RX V677. And for those that are really familiar with car audio systems, this is essentially your car audio head unit, but for the house. And pretty much most of the inputs and outputs of this thing are very similar, apart from a few of them, which I'm going to show you now. Well, I don't expect you guys to have computers in your car. How I get my signal is via HDMI. HDMI has the ability to extract audio on the same connector for both video and audio. High definition media interface. So what I'm doing is I've got two connectors on the back of this computer. One is going via HDMI straight into the receiver. That's just for sound, or if I really want to, I can display an image. And the other is DisplayPort. Go straight into my monitor, and that allows me to get the decent refresh rate. So my source into this receiver is HDMI. That is my audio source. So you can see my HDMI comes in here. And then if I choose to display another image from the same source of HDMI to another display, which is the TV, it spits it back out here. But now through this cable, this has got my audio source that's going to spit it out to all my speakers. Now, throughout this video, you're going to see me reference car audio head units because I know a lot of you have started off that way and you familiarize yourself with an audio using 12-volt systems. So to make it easy for you to understand, I'm going to reference that a lot in this video. Like the head unit you would have in your car, this has 7 channels, okay? And the same way your head unit would be able to power your door speakers within itself, this also has its inbuilt amplifier, a lot more beefier to the ones that would be in a car audio head unit because it's a bigger receiver. It's got a lot stronger components that you would have on a 12-volt system because it's allowed to be a lot bigger. So it has 7 channels. As you see here, the 7 channels, I'm only utilizing 3. And we got 2 here for presence. So it's a 7.2, but the subwoofer channels, that being 2, is in a form of a pre-out, which I'm going to show you now. So it's exactly the same as the back of a head unit where you run your wires to your door speakers within the amplifier itself, within the head unit itself, and then you then run your RCAs to then go to the back of the car to then run your subwoofer amplifier. The cool thing about this is it has gain adjustment, parametric EQ, and you can also adjust your high pass, low pass, Q factors within here. It's got its own DSP in it. You see on the top here, it's going to make me like a liar, but it has got cinema DSP built into it, so you can DSP whatever you need to DSP. It's pretty cool. So with me only having 3 channels connected to the actual channels and then having 2 channels connected to presence, it technically means this is only a center channel and a left and a right with presence. Okay, presence meaning that it has the ability to it's like having heights. It is technically like having heights. It's just going to give you a little something extra. So these speakers are a Wolfdale Diamond 9.1s. That is for my stereo, my left and right. And then we've got the Wolfdale Diamond 9.0s. These are the small guys, are connected to my presence. And then we have the Emotiva center channel, which is going to be for your center. That's pretty much in terms of the vocals, and so mids and highs is all going to be done via the speakers you see here and the amplifier built into this receiver. Now, let's talk about how I power the subwoofers. How is that done? Now, it is going to be a bit more complicated than usual, but I know some of you guys run some of these RCA volume controllers. So pretty much the same principle if you was running an RCA volume controller, that being this LF Audio WVC. So that is going to be in between the receiver and the PA amp. That's in the middle. That being this module here. So what this LF Audio WVC allows me to do is attenuate the signal. Because if you don't use one of these, your subwoofer volume will go up with the master the same way it would in a car audio head unit. When you turn up the volume, the bass will also increase alongside your mids and highs. They go up together. Sometimes there'll be songs where the bass could be overpowering, and you just want to have better control over the power the subs are giving out and having something separate that you can turn down or turn up. That's what this guy does. At the back of this receiver, you have your subwoofer preamp, this Amazon Basics cable. It's only mono, so we have two here, but I'm only using one because that's more than enough. And this receiver has a hefty preamp voltage. It is wicked. So RCA comes out, runs to this LF audio box here. This is the brains, which controls the RCA voltage. And that Amazon Basics cable is this one right here. Amazon Basics comes in, and then this is the output of this module. So the output will be controlled reference to how much you increase or decrease the gain on that remote. So that thing gets spits out here, and then it simply just plugs straight in to the PA amplifier. Now, this is the biggest question I get asked. How am I running the subwoofers? What is powering it? Am I using some sort of car amplifier with a battery, a step-down converter, a PC power supply? No, none of them. This is one of many PA amplifiers on the market. This is the Behringer NX6000D. And how these amplifiers run is off of your mains voltage. That means you could simply grab a cable and plug it straight into the wall, and it will power straight up. No need for any 12-volt power supplies or anything like that. It is ready to go. It has its own built-in power supply internally that can handle the high power coming from your wall. And then from that point onwards, the basis is pretty much the same as your car audio system. So we now have the signal coming into this amplifier now, which means all you have to do is run your speaker cables to your subwoofers and you're good to go. And I'll show you how that's done. I'll tell you about the specifications of these subwoofers as well. A lot of people get confused when they see connectors like this, but the basis is pretty much the same. It still has your positive and your negative. It's just the connector that you need to adapt into it to accommodate the port that goes into these amplifiers. And this is just one of these PA amplifiers. You get many of these amplifiers that just take in bare wire, like it's not that deep. So for instance, this is the connector at the back, right? This is called speak-on, and you have the pins that you need to populate in order for it to work on the respective channels, yeah? And all you got to do is you go back to the speak-on connector. So all you got to do is you unscrew this guy here, you push this through. If I can get it through one hand, that'll be easy. You push that through like that, and then you get the pins that you need to put your bare wire in. Each pin is labeled, so you have these numbers here: +1, -1, +2, -2. There's 4 here, so you're gonna have +1, -1, +2, -2, and you just put them in the respectable ones, and then boom, plug it back in, pull it straight in the amp, and now the amp is ready to send power to your desired subwoofers. And to be honest, I do think it's a much better connector as well, because look, you just twist it and it locks in. It will not come out. So I think it's safer, but what's your thoughts? Now let's talk about the subwoofers and the boxes. These are 2 dB Audio Carnage 12s. They are rated 5 kilowatt each. And yes, I know that this amplifier cannot deliver the 5,000 watt that each subwoofer needs, but it's okay. We don't need to give it all the power it can handle. Even just the 2,000 watt plus per channel this amplifier can provide is more than enough. And again, you're probably thinking, wait, there's another subwoofer. What happened to the amplifier that ran that one? Well, let me explain. It's my ceiling. And this is what happens when I run all 3 subwoofers at once. That's why you don't really see me use this subwoofer anymore. It just peaks too high, and it room resonance just causes damage. So my low pass is actually set on just these 2 12s alone to 32 hertz. Nice and low, doesn't really break anything. It just sounds deep. Anyway, so these are in boxes. So there are actually 2 separate boxes, if you didn't know. A lot of people think they're one. No, that would be way too big. They're in 2 separate boxes and they are each tuned to 22 Hertz. We've got a nice decent port area for each box, and the impedance that I'm wired to at the amplifier, still with nothing on, like just chilling, is 1.4 ohms. People thinking, whoa, that is way too low for this poor amplifier. But I'm also going to explain something called impedance rise. So impedance rise is when your subwoofer starts to move and then the impedance from nominal, resting, starts to fluctuate, mostly increasing. But obviously I don't mind at like 300 watt if we're still at 1.4 ohm, because that's not going to stress the amplifier out at 300 watt. It would if it was at 1.4 ohm at 2000 watt. We don't want that. That's too much current. But by the time the subwoofers play and more power gets put into the subwoofers, the impedance is also going up to more safer values. And I've already put this on the AMM1 and we're already back up to 3.9 to 4.2 ohms at tuning at around 1500 watt per sub anyway, which is more than enough. And how this amplifier has survived all year running these 1.4 ohm subwoofers per channel, because the impedance rises just enough to be in a safe margin. The cool thing about this amplifier as well is it has its own built-in DSP, which I'm going to show you. You just connect to it and you can see my slopes here. I've got it at 40 because I was trying out some different music today, so I thought I'd just bump it up a bit. But that's literally me done. I'm happy with that. I don't need to have my room resonance absolutely ripping my ceiling apart. So this is what I've got going on now. Butterworth, 40 Hertz, 12 dB per channel, and you can see the both channels here. And my configuration is biamp 1 because, as you know, we only got the one RCA coming in. Amp takes it in and it splits it into 2 channels, both repeating what the first channel was had coming in, which is nice. And I get to adjust each channel by itself as well. Also have its own parametric EQ and dynamic EQ. Something I haven't really used. I haven't really had the use for it, but it is there if you need it. And you can also set power limits as well. So if you've got a subwoofer, let's say rated 1000 watt, you can set it so you choose your impedance and you can choose how much power you send to the woofer. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but maybe another video we can test that. But yeah, that is literally it, guys. It don't need to be complicated. It is simple yet really effective, and it is a really nice sounding system in my opinion, and a lot of you have enjoyed listening along with it with me. So yeah, anyway, moving on. A lot of you guys have been really interested in seeing my dyno rig and how I set up the test bench behind me, so let's jump into that. So at the back of my room we have a little testing area where I do my amplifier dynos and just test amplifiers out and have another space to enjoy different aspects of audio. We're starting down here. We have many different types of PA amplifiers. I like to get these PA amplifiers to test them out with you guys, dyno test them and learn how they work, see what's inside. Just going through different realms and different times of audio, which is pretty nice. We got Tower Amps Big Boss 3K there. We got a Tower Amps Big Boss 8K on a Ryan HCCA 5000 there. Got some more handheld oscilloscopes. Got this Bluetooth transmitter and receiver. Here we got another oscilloscope. And here is the batteries. This is 2 banks of lithium, which is going to be upgraded. We have more on the way. And this is trickle charged by this small power supply when it's off, when it's just to keep it alive, because we have got a parasitic draw, obviously, between the LF audio meter and the internal BMSs in here. And also it does slightly discharge itself back through the power supply. So here is pretty warm still as it's discharging. So that just holds the voltage over time. And then when we're actually dyno testing, we will turn on these big boy power supplies. There is 3 here, but these are so powerful. 1 has just been cutting it. 1 is more than enough. So that's ready to go. This will do anywhere between 190 amps to 300 amps. Obviously, at the start, it will be very low, loads of amps. And as it starts to charge, obviously, it rolls off. It's like a curve. So, yeah. Then here we have... So, this is the laptop that I normally use for doing stuff. This is my work laptop. Then we have the resistors. So, there's 8 4-ohm resistors that all have XT60s connected to them. And how it works is, it's probably not the best way of doing it. I do want to get like a little logic board. You can click some relays and it does it by itself. So how you do it is all connected to a distribution bar. Positive, negative, doesn't matter because it's resistors. You can get the polarity wrong, it will still work the same. One resistor will be 4 ohms. All resistors connected together will be 0.5. So if you want to decrease the resistance, you just unplug all the resistors and it will go up and up and up and up. And you would have the lowest possible resistance. You plug them all in. So just by unplugging a set amount of these, you can choose your resistance, and that's how I do it. We have a DSP here, an LF Audio WVC here as well with the module, a fan, don't know if it's doing much. We got a head unit here. There is a little EVGA power supply tucked down the side. My DIY SPX bookshelf speakers. We've got a Crown XLS 2000 here as well. My drone stuff. Got these new fuzzy audio amps that they kindly sent out. Stay tuned for that as well. Got my camera. And yeah, my power bank, which I use for my oscilloscope, because if you didn't realize, when you're testing amplifiers, you have to make sure your ground is not the same ground that you power the oscilloscope off. Otherwise, you run into big boy problems. So I use a portable power bank to have floating grounds. Got my U-Green charger. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's not much, but it gets the job done. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this video, let me know. Thanks for chilling with me and let me show you guys around. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.